Major update. A suspect has been held in custody in connection to her abduction and death. And you will not believe who it is. Now, mind you, this is not official yet. This is just from multiple sources. And we may now also have a clearer picture as to what really happened to Stephanie Terungwa, the Abuja youth copper who was said to have gone missing on the 14th of April 2022 and whose body was found on the 27th of April 2022, barely 24 hours after it was announced that she was missing. Remember all the questions that we were asking. Who does she live with in Abuja? Who is her driver? Who are her friends? How was the baby found and who found the baby? And was any part of her body called for ritual purposes? Well, as it turns out, we may have answers to those questions right now. Now, from what I gathered, Stephanie grew up in Makurdi. However, during her NYSC, she had to move to Abuja to live with her baby daddy, whose name we do not know as at the time of making this video. So according to sources who knew Stephanie, they say that she is new to Abuja and therefore doesn't really know so many people, nor does she know so many places. Her sister and her mother lives in Makurdi. And according to some sources, her mother and sister have not been to her baby's daddy's house as at the time of her disappearance. So throughout this research, the baby daddy was referred to as baby daddy. The relationship between her and the baby daddy is not clear. He wasn't referred to as her boyfriend, nor was he referred to as her fiancé. All the people who reached out to me regarding her story called him the baby daddy, which raises the question on what is her relationship with the baby daddy. Well, all we know now is that he is the baby daddy and she lived with him as at the time of her disappearance and death. So on the day she went for CDS on the 14th of April 2022, with her 1-year-old son, it was said she took an Uber. Now, the sources claiming that she took an Uber, they're not particularly sure whether or not it's an Uber, but what they know is they saw her entering into a vehicle outside her baby daddy's house. It's unclear if that is an Uber, and if that was an Uber, it's unclear who ordered it, or if that is the regular driver for her. I don't want to point fingers, but I would believe the baby daddy who knows Abuja more and whose responsibility it is to care for the baby mama and the child would be the one most likely to order an Uber or assign a driver for his baby mama and child. That's what I think, because obviously the driver of that vehicle certainly could have a hand in her disappearance and eventual death. So now this is what sources are alleging, because obviously the baby daddy is the one allegedly arrested and allegedly mentioned as a suspect regarding her abduction and death. And the reason will shock you. Aside from the fact that when an adult goes missing, the first suspects are usually the partners, boyfriend, husband, or wives of the missing person. So by all legal rights, even if there was no reason, even if he was outside the country, the person she lived with, the man she lived with, her baby daddy, should be mentioned as a suspect, at least. But for Stephanie's case, the baby daddy seemed to have complicated issues for himself, allegedly. Because when Stephanie went for CDS that day and did not return, it was alleged that it took the baby daddy 3 days to inform her family that Stephanie had not come home. 3 days Stephanie was not home and this man was not worried. This man did not go to report. This man did not go to look for her, especially when she was with his baby. Although it was argued that the man said that he communicated with her and she texted him that she's not coming home, that she's with her friend. What friends could she have been spending time with? This is a girl that recently just moved into Abuja. This is a girl that don't know anyone or barely knows anybody. Well, aside from her youth copper friends. I guess maybe the baby daddy thought those were the people she was hanging out with. It's not stated if the baby daddy spoke to her on the phone confirming that she was with her friends, but it was alleged that the baby daddy got a text message from her, and that it was that text message that he forwarded to her family. For 3 days, this girl was not in the house with her baby, and all the baby daddy used to hold himself back from reporting to the police was a text message. It was around the 4th day or 5th day that the baby daddy got another text from another phone number, not Stephanie's phone number, telling him to go to a particular church to pick up the baby, Stephanie's baby. It was at this point that the baby daddy now knew that things might have been really serious. Because maybe he thought that Stephanie was with her friends, but he knew that Stephanie would not leave her baby alone. I'm just trying to give the baby daddy the benefit of the doubt, because there is a chance here that he too might just be lost like the rest of us, even though he's in the better position to know more than we do. So after it was said that the baby daddy got a text to go to a particular church to get Stephanie's baby, it was alleged that the baby daddy's sister was the one who went to the church to pick up the baby. When she got to the church, she saw the baby and saw Stephanie's ID card and NYSC certificates. The baby daddy's sister then carried the baby home, and it was at this point that they knew that something was off. So this was not a case of ransom. The people who took Stephanie did not call to demand for money. At the initial time, it felt as though Stephanie was the one doing all of these. In fact, people suspected that Stephanie and the baby daddy were having a fight, and that was why she left with the baby. So for this first week, they were trying to reach Stephanie because they thought, she was the one doing it on purpose. They thought she was the one running away. She was the one tired of whatever relationship she had with the baby daddy. Both sides of the family thought maybe the baby daddy and Stephanie were fighting. So it was the second week after trying to reach out to her and learning that she was not picking her calls or returning her calls. That was when her family, the mother and the sister, came from Makurdi to Abuja to report the case to the police. It was at the same time they started putting out flyers and posters looking for her. They had also informed the NYSC officials about her disappearance. So all of these things happened during the second week, and I guess this is why it took them 14 days for us to hear about her disappearance, because they did not know how serious it was until her baby was found without her. So it was when the family went to the police to file a missing person report that the police then informed them that they had seen a dead body at Lokogoma at a specific time. And so they took the family to the morgue where they had deposited the body. It was in the morgue that her family confirmed that the dead body was that of Stephanie. Even though that the killers had tried to discolor her body, it was said they baited her with acid over her face just to disfigure her and make her not recognizable. Still, the family were able to recognize her as Stephanie. She was even also in her NYSC uniform. So that was how our family found out she had been killed. At the time we learned her body had been discovered was not the time her body was actually discovered. Her body had been discovered by the police long before we even got to know about it. It's just that the police kept it because no one had reported a missing person and there was no name or tags on her. Remember, her ID card and NYC certificate was left with the baby. So obviously the people who killed her knew very well that if they disfigured her face and take away her ID card, it will be difficult to recognize her or identify her. That was why they dropped the baby along with her ID card and NYC certificate. Anything that they would use to identify her was left with the baby. It's very obvious that whoever did this to her did not want her to be recognized, did not want her to be found. So guys, this is the alleged explanation as to what really happened and how she was found and why it took so long for us to hear about it. I really hope that makes sense, and I am specifically using allegedly because not many news outlets have carried this story, even though all my sources were people who are close to her and close to the family and also close to the baby daddy family, as they claim. Because definitely people know things. She has friends, she has family, she has people who know her, she has people she talks to. She's not an island. So if her death comes out as a shock to everyone, people will start talking because people are talking right now. And if we don't talk about this case, it's going to die out and phase out like many other cases in the past. Because right now, the big question is, who killed Stephanie and why? Even though the baby daddy has been listed as a suspect, and he's clearly answering questions in police custody now, allegedly, there is still a chance that someone else did this and not him. I will encourage the police to investigate the relationship between the baby daddy and Stephanie, to know if there were fights, if there were violence, to know how they met, to know if he's a possessive person or if he's insecure, because this girl is very pretty. And since her face was damaged badly with acid, you all know if acid is involved with a girl who is as pretty as this, it might be a case of jealousy from another girl or a case of insecurity from her partner. So is there a girl who wanted her out of the way so that she can come in? Or is the baby daddy very insecure that she is too pretty and that there is a fear that he might lose her to other bigger men in Abuja? Someone killed this girl and someone has to pay for it. I don't want this case to go cold, so I want us to talk about it as much as we can. I want us to speculate as much as we can, because if we all keep quiet and wait for the police to do their job, this case might go cold and we may never hear of it again. And it is also important to know that no part of her body was cut for ritual purpose. No part of her body was cut out, which means whoever did this to her really wanted her dead, really wanted her gone, really wanted her out of the way. The baby was not the problem. Whoever killed her wanted her gone. So we have to find out who stands to gain more from the death of Stephanie Terungwa. So friends, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts regarding this case. And who do you think might have had a hand in the abduction and death of Stephanie Terungwa? Let me know what you think.